Am I excited or nervous for the Browns' offensive line in 2025? We're about to find out. Cleveland, welcome into At the Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm one of the hosts here, Noah. Typically, I do this show with my buddy, my friend, Eric, but he is on vacation, drinking a pina colada, having a margarita, doing whatever he needs to do to get his mind right, to get back to the everyday flow of life. I said, Eric, you can have a break. I'll come on here, talk about something I'm passionate about, and that is the Browns offensive line. But before we get into the Browns offensive line, I have a couple things I need to talk to you guys about because we have some live shows coming up. The first one being the Muni Lot this Sunday for the Browns home opener, season opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. We will be going live at 9:30 a.m. Come find us. There's going to be an At the Office flag. If you didn't know, you could see the logo behind me flying high up above Muni Lot for you to come listen to us talk sports. We'll do a little pregame show in the Muni Lot, and then we'll go from there about maybe getting some other side content, having some beverages, talking ball, doing that kind of thing. The next weekend for the Ravens game in Baltimore, 9:14, we are going to be in Eric's neck of the woods. Slim and Jumbo's, it's a bar. They're doing the dog walk, which is a big bar crawl for the Cleveland Browns. That is in Garrettsville, Ohio. We will be live at 11 a.m. Come see us beforehand if you are there, though, because we have a giveaway item for people that are there. The Muni Lot, again, after that, for the Green Bay game, we will be at the Kennel 2, which is the bus right at the front of the Muni Lot. Shout out Larry Lorello for letting us do that. And then I mentioned giveaway already. So let's talk a little more giveaway. Let's talk giveaway one more time. We are giving away a Cleveland Browns jersey. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment on a recent video of At the Office, and you will be entered to win a free Cleveland Browns jersey of your choice, being player, obviously. And that's all you have to do. Winner will be chosen October 1st. So at the end of the month, after all of these live shows, after the Browns either make us happy or completely depress us, that will be up for them to find out. We got all that out of the way. I want to talk some ball now. As a former offensive lineman, as a person who loves the game of football, I wanted to dive in a little bit about some of my thoughts going into the Cleveland Browns offensive line this year, and not just the face value of Dewan Jones. Of course, we want him to have a breakout year. He's lost the weight. Uh, Joel Bitonio, is this his last hurrah? Ethan Posick, is he going to be officially healthy for week one? All signs point to yes. He was practicing earlier this week. Put all that to the side. I want to answer the question today. Do I think the woes of the Cleveland Browns offensive line last year translate to this year? Really? Are they going to continue? Is it a sign of old age? Now, I'm going to break this down. And I want to start by explaining the difference between a run block and a pass block. Pass blocking, there's completely different technique. You're setting backwards, trying to form a pocket for the quarterback, whereas in a run block, you are, of course, trying to push forward. That's where you see the beautiful, awesome pancake blocks that are highlights for offensive linemen. Now, an RPO, because this is going to play a big role in the difference between Dorsey's offense, and Kevin Stefanski's offense. Ken Dorsey loves himself an RPO, and so does one Deshaun Watson. RPOs are what the acronym stands for, run pass options. So the quarterback has the option to hand the ball off or pass the ball if it's open. So where does this all come into play? Because a lot of the headlines talking about the difference between Cleveland Browns scheme last year and years past and going into this year. So basically the difference between Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey, there's it gets a little more volatile than a lot of the beat reporters and talking heads want to talk about, because an RPO isn't a scheme. An RPO is a play type. Whereas, yes, an outside zone run is a play type. You can call an outside zone run that is a play type, but it's also a mindset of how you want to run your offense. And the reason that it is a mindset of how you want to run your offense is because when you're in an outside zone run scheme, you are looking to get the ball to the dashes and run vertically. You're also leaning in to the run more. So now that we've got all that out of the way, there's one more important metric that we should probably touch on, and that is the amount of pass attempts that happen percentage wise compared from when Ken Dorsey was running the offense and when Kevin Stefanski was running the offense, whether it be Deshaun at the helm, Baker at the helm, Flacco at the helm this year or the year prior, uh, talking 23 versus 25, of course. When Ken Dorsey was at the helm calling plays and being the face of this offense, the Browns threw the ball 66% of the time compared to Kevin Stefanski's typical 58% of the time. Now, what does this all mean? It means that Ken Dorsey likes to lean on the fact of passing the ball much more than Kevin Stefanski really likes to. Obviously, you're going to pass more in modern football. That's just how football works nowadays. It's not ground and pound anymore. But the RPO level of this is where it gets volatile, right? Because in an RPO, typically, more often than not, it is schemed for an offensive lineman to still block it like a run, which seems to be the strong suit of this Browns offensive line. They all skew towards being better run blockers than pass blockers, which makes sense. If you are more of a brute force, you are a better run blocker. If you are more of a technical player and you got your footwork down and all the different little intricate parts that go into being an offensive lineman, you are typically a better pass blocker because you are thinking about if you're setting your foot the right way, if you're moving your body and your hand placement in the right direction. There's a lot of minuscule details that go into pass blocking compared to run blocking where you can just push a MFer over for lack of a better term. So that's where it causes some concern for me because if they are running RPOs at a much higher rate, which is true. There's not an exact metric to tell when someone's running an RPO, whether it be college, high school, NFL, because it's an option at the end of the day. He might just hand it and you don't even know if there was a read on it or not, or if the receiver was just running it to get the corner out of the way. I say all of this because it worries me a little bit that if the offensive line is set up in a way to run block more often than not because of how heavy the RPOs were used in Ken Dorsey's offense, does that mean it's not going to be good for the Cleveland Browns this year and it was really a sign of aging? That remains to be seen. Obviously, I don't have the exact answer for that. All of the veterans who have played football much longer or been around the sport much longer than I have seem to feel like their performance is going to be much better under Kevin Stefanski's. And I think that is a fair assumption to make considering they have been successful under Kevin Stefanski's offense before. You talk about the clutter of an RPO. RPOs make the game difficult for the offensive line for a multitude of reasons. The main one being the illegal man downfield call. So while most coaches live and die by the if you go down and we get a flag, we will live by that because that is one of the negatives of an RPO. There's still that brain clutter there. There's still the thought process of not getting too deep if you know it's an RPO call. So that could be a nugget of information in terms of why the Browns offensive line might like this scheme better. The other thing is just complete comfort in Kevin Stefanski's scheme because they've ran it and have had success in the past, the majority of them being on this team for a very long time. Joe Bitonio, obviously the longest. That could be another key as to why they're so confident. And I think that's all valid thought processes to have at the end of the day. I just wanted to point out and show the cause for concern as to there are some similarities between Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski. They both run similar passing concepts. Ken Dorsey just runs way more of it. And if we're going back to the run, which 100% this team should do with the question mark at quarterback, it makes the most sense. You should be running more running plays regardless. Ken Dorsey was obviously brought here to shoehorn and fit Deshaun Watson's skill set into whatever the hell we had as a roster for the Cleveland Browns last year that led us to go 3-14. I am curious to see if this offensive line is just starting to age itself out of the dominance that we've seen in seasons past, or the fact that we just moved away from scheme and have had such abysmal quarterback play has been the real reason as to why this offensive line has not looked like it has in years past. And you can even say that's true for 2023 because of the amount of quarterbacks that played prior to Joe Flacco being there. All signs in terms of the player's confidence points to they are very confident. It points to them being very confident that they, going back to Kevin Stefanski's heavier reliance on the run, will make this better. I'm just curious to see how different it's going to really change things, especially if the offensive line was running a lot of run based concepts. Even with that being said, though, as I'm sitting here thinking about it a little bit, were they doing a lot of one on one blocking versus, zone blocking tends to have a guard and a tackle, for example, double teaming and whatnot. Again, I don't have those answers because I don't have access to all 22 film to break down all 17 games of the last season. I hope that moving away from Ken Dorsey and moving back to Kevin Stefanski bodes everything that we've seen, and it doesn't have to do with anything about the age and depleting ability of some of the players on the Browns offensive line. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see until Cincinnati. If I were to put my money on it, that's always a tough one because, like I said, and like my bio on all my socials say, I am a known Cleveland homer. So I think they're all going to make the Pro Bowl. I don't know if I would put my money on it. I just don't know if I can put my money on it. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with this Browns offensive line. I am still hesitant to buy all the way in until I see it on paper in the new offense, the new old offense this year. That's going to wrap it up for me here at the office. Again, my name is Noah. I really appreciate you tuning in. Listen to me talk about a position I care so deeply about. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Check us out on all the socials at Sign the Office CLE. And until next time, Cleveland, stay up, stay blessed. Peace.